the Extension Agriculture Institute, your connection to the latest agriculture and horticulture research from the University of Wisconsin-Madison.
We're out here in the field to demonstrate a few different methods of sowing rye seed. At this point in the season, late October, rye is one of the best options for a cover crop that's still going to germinate and give us some growth before the winter. So the simplest thing to do is to just broadcast seed by hand and then rake it in a little bit. So we've got some bags of rye here. I brought up a couple of different rakes and a little rotary cultivator, and we'll give those a try. If you have a larger area to broadcast seed, you can certainly use something like one of these little earthway crank seeders. You just slip that on over your body, put the seed in here, and you're going to crank the handle, and that spreads the seed out for about a 20-foot width, depending on how fast you crank the handle. So we'll go over this in a little bit more detail, but that's a nice option for spreading seed over a wider area. Another option we have over here is actually a bit of lawn equipment. It's a drop seeder. It's about 22 inches wide, and this does a pretty nice job with a lot of different grass seeds like oats or rye, or something like perennial ryegrass if you're establishing more of a long-term cover crop area. So this has worked really well for us. Now, if you're considering a seeding method that is broadcasting onto the surface of the ground, ideally you're going to do something to improve the seed to soil contact so that that seed is in really good contact with the soil and it can take up moisture and germinate and start to grow. So even if you just take a rake, if you're working in a small area, and just lightly rake that in, that's going to improve your germination of the cover crop. Because germination will be a bit lower when you're broadcasting, it's a good idea to increase your seeding rate. Generally, you'll see a range of amounts for seeding rates. So for oats, for example, you might see anywhere from 20 to 50 pounds per acre. And if you're going to be broadcasting, you want to be at the higher end of that. And sometimes if people are working with a fairly inexpensive cover crop seed, they'll double or even triple the seeding rate just to make sure that they get a really good stand. I'm going to demonstrate using our Griot two-wheel tractor with a Rinaldi power harrow on the back today. After broadcasting seed, I'm going to take the power harrow across just to mix that seed into the soil a little bit, get that good seed to soil contact. I like using the power harrow for this because its blades go vertically into the soil and just stir the soil. So that's a little bit less damaging to the structure of the soil than using a tiller that turns the soil over. You can certainly use a tiller for something like this. In both cases, I would say set it fairly shallow so you're just disturbing maybe the first inch or so of soil. This is a crank seeder. It's nice for doing a larger area of ground. And there are a number of different brands of this. This is an earthway. It fits about 25 pounds in the hopper. It's nice that it's got a zipper, so less likely to spill it. It has a crank on the side, and on the other side, you can set how much the bottom of the hopper is going to open. So there are different settings along here. It locks closed, and then when you start using it, you can open it up and lock it in position. And then you just walk through your field, cranking it. It spreads out. It varies a little bit with the type of seed, how wide it's going to spread, anywhere from about 12 to about 20 feet across. So this is a nice way to spread a lot of seed over an area pretty quickly. Right now, the bottom of the hopper is closed and that's locked in place. And then I just move this lever up, move it over, and lock it down in place. I've got it set at 4.5 right now, which is a good width for when I'm seeding rye. When I start using this, I want to start off with it locked closed and only open it as I start to walk and start cranking, because it'll immediately start falling out the bottom. So you can just go over an area that you've seeded lightly with a rake, just so that you get a little bit of seed to soil contact. Just lightly raking it in can be nice. And you could use something like that, or you could use one of these little rotary cultivators. You just want to get it so that the seed is worked down a little bit and in good contact with the ground, with the soil, so that it's able to take up moisture and germinate.